Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast, episode 257. Apologies for noises. I'll try to make it as good as possible. I chose specifically this place because I hear no wind at the moment. So there shouldn't be any noises from that part. But then, you know, I'm walking alongside the road, so it's expected to meet some cars along the way. At the moment, it's lunchtime, and I use that opportunity to take a walk. And as some of you know, if you listen to previous podcast episodes, that I'm taking part in the 100k in 30 days challenge for breast cancer awareness and support. I have a fundraiser page that I will be linking to every post for the next 30 days. So if you want to chime in and throw a dime, feel free to do that. It's always for the good cause. And as you can see, I'm already wearing the last year's pink dress. Pink dress, nice. Yeah, no, it's not a dress, it's a t-shirt. So yeah, today is very nice. As you can see, the weather is almost perfect. I would say it's more perfect than yesterday, because yesterday it was all sun and barely any air to breathe. Today there is a little bit of clouds coming up, so at least they cover the sun from time to time to let you recover a little bit after the heat. But yeah, before the lunchtime we agreed with my wife and Julian, because Julian has a day off in school. For some reason, I think teachers are doing some training, so the school is closed for the kids, which they are very unhappy about, obviously. And they obviously, like my wife and Julian, plan to go to Rosnola beach for the day. And we agreed that we'll sync up on lunchtime, so you know, I don't disrupt my work. And we drove all the way to the Lahi gas station. We topped up the car. Julian got his bodyboard at the station, so he can enjoy it now at the beach. And yeah, I left them at the station, so they drove further to Rosnola, while I decided to take a walk. The challenge that I participate in for Breast Cancer Foundation, it's self-explanatory. It's 100 kilometers in 30 days. You can participate as a runner, walker, or in a hybrid mode, which is what I do. I do runs and walks together to mix them a little bit and to get my 100k going. I participated in last year's 100k and I did not do 100k. I want to show you those beautiful cows there. They look amazing on that yellow background. Oh, have also some fella visiting me. I'm not sure if it's visible. Go away. You have other places to sit than me. Yeah, so I participated last year. It didn't go as, or didn't work as planned. I got probably around 90k, which I wasn't happy about because I do 100k's in some month without even planning or doing a challenge. But you know, last year it was June, so it was a very turbulent month. We just moved in to Donegal at that time, so there was a lot of stuff to do and I didn't have enough time, I guess, to do the proper walks and runs. But this month I have a good preparation because I've done the 100k in May for Laura Lynn Children's Hospice, so my legs are ready and I can do another month of challenge. So it started yesterday, obviously 1st of June, and yesterday I involved a little bit my wife and Julian. So I did 5k walk with my wife and then we went for a short run with Julian. I obviously knew that he's not prepared to do the continuous run, so I proposed that we will do sort of interval. We'll start walking and then do short run, then we keep walking and then again walk and then run again. So a standard kind of interval. And we did first 400 meters of warm-up and Julian didn't want to wait and he said let's go for a run and I'll try to do as much as I can. And I was like, okay. So we started running and first kilometer went in, then second, and he still wanted to continue running. And he even pushed for a third kilometer. So we closed on 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers on top of that 400 meters. So we did in total 3.6 kilometers. Apologies if the wind starts messing and gets noisy because I just got into a noisier area. So yeah, we did 3.2 kilometers, well 3.6, but 3.2 kilometers running, and even including the walk we had a decent pace of, I'd say probably 6.45 minutes per kilometer, which I consider quite good, especially if you think about you know, that first kilometer that was very slow. It was about 8 minutes per kilometer, the first one. Second was 6:45 or 6:55. Then we dropped as low as 6.5 or something like that, and even before below 6 minutes per kilometer in the, you know, in the last 600 meters. So decent pace, decent run before the sleep. So it was very very motivating for Julian, and we'll probably continue doing that. I'll stop at the Mark 10 now because I'm getting into really noisy area, and I'll continue after that. And welcome back. Yeah, that 10 minutes outside was a nice, I would say, difference in filming that podcast. It's always indoors that I do that, except for the first maybe 2 or 3 updates. So yeah, it was very, very noisy. There is a building site as I was approaching 10 minutes of the initial recording, so I had to cut it and finish it at home because there was no real moment on the remaining segment of the walk that I would comfortably could record the rest of the episode. So as I mentioned, I participate in the challenge. I've done with my wife over 5k yesterday, with Julian 3.6k running, and I just finished a walk that was about 6 kilometers. So a decent amount, good start of the challenge, but as we know, it's easy with the hype at the start. The key point is to continue doing it consecutively or consistently, and that will be a good test for me as well, from a perspective that that was the reason I started this podcast and the blog, to be consistent in some way and get those routines going. And this one, although it's for 30 days, it is still important to keep it going for those 30 days. Obviously there will be likely a single days where I will take a rest or recovery time and might do other exercises that won't count against the challenge, but still the thing is ongoing. The weather is great. I want to use it because it's also not only for the good cause, but my health will benefit from that as well. I'm not sure yet what I will write about today, because obviously the regrouping of the routines happened 3 days ago, and now I record before I actually write anything. So we'll see how it goes. Yesterday I named the blog post Hot House because it was really hot, and it kind of reminded me about being in the hothouse. There was barely any air to breathe. Well, obviously there was oxygen and you could breathe, but the air was kind of static pretty much. There was no wind, and it's very uncomfortable for humans to exist in that kind of conditions. And also I kind of referred to the hothouse, which I recommend all the people to read. It's a great science fiction book by Brian Aldiss that kind of goes about, I think, million years forward, or I don't remember exactly, or more than million years onward. So it's based on some prediction of what will be happening with the Earth and Sun long into the future, where the Sun is actually turning into the state of a nova, and it expands, and it actually already consumed Mercury and Venus, and Earth is the first planet closest to the Sun. It still provides that conditions for life, but it's an interesting concept where life on Earth changed drastically, in that animals became the minority because the plants were better or more versatile to adjust, and the whole planet is covered by a single plant organism that is also an ecosystem, and humans are just
minority, small tribes of uh, almost like a midget size people, because they needed to adjust genetically as a species, and survive they need to survive in that huge jungle like tree layered cover of the earth. And the plants are actually uh, they adapted to certain behaviors similar to animals. So basically there is a deep dark layer at the very bottom where no humans go, because this is like a dead zone. There are only organisms there that are carnivorous, and whoever goes there never comes back. Then there is a middle layer which still has enough living conditions to for humans to survive, and then there is a top layer which is kind of like a canopy of that big plant slash jungle that only certain plants can survive, and if human goes there, they have very little time to spend there. Otherwise, they might be, subject to too much radiation, heat, or something like that. So it's a very interesting book. I read it once, and I don't remember details, but it's really cool concept. And in the whole book there is injected kind of story around specific fungus that infects people or the human beings, and it is like a parasite. It lives on their brain, and it's an intelligent fungus. So it's not far from reality, because fungi are a separate kingdom to animals and plants that we are pretty much just discovering how much potential is there, what fungi can do for us in terms of recycling. There's no technology in the world that can match what fungi can do towards recycling, and we already discovered that. Recording stopped as soon as I said the thing about recycling, and my picture stopped. I don't know what happened to the recording, but I kept going, and I need to retrack a little bit. So I spoke about recycling capabilities of fungi. We also know that already we have a lot of potential in terms of medicinal uses of mushrooms, not only from a mental perspective, but also any physical sicknesses and illnesses that we were considering uncurable, and no artificial, or I would say synthetic, cures in the world can match the capabilities of what fungi can do for us, including cancer, different types of cancers, and other areas of medicine that we were considering completely a lost case. So these are just two areas where we know that so-called mushrooms, but fungi in general, as a world, conceptually can help us address and help us progress exponentially in near future, and thus increase our survival rate, as well as extend further the you know longevity and expectation of how long we live. So that's a great thing to explore. I was always fascinated by fungi, and I still am. So if there's anyone that'd like to talk about it, or you're interested, I might throw in a little bit of that content to the podcast too, and just let me know on my socials, or here on YouTube or on, I don't think it's on Spotify you can comment or anything like that, but yeah, you can always do that on YouTube or any of the social channels like Instagram, Facebook, or where else I am. Well, obviously the blog, so on the WordPress. All right, guys. So I have 3 videos to stitch to create that single episode, which is first time I will be, no, actually second time that I will be stitching videos for this podcast. First one was, I think, the update with Julian when we went with GoPro on a short walk, evening walk, and then GoPro died and I had to stitch the second part from the mobile phone. But it used to be a one shot, one recording effort, and now I need to stitch it. It will probably take a while, so I'll wrap up now. We're already over 20 minutes in. By my calculation, I think the 10 minutes was on the mobile when I was walking outside. Then this video here stopped around 7-8 minutes, and now we are 4 minutes in, so I'll be wrapping up now, stitching them together. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That means that I'm well within the committed deadline, although the important thing is that before that deadline hits, I also need to write a proper blog post. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for coming and watching or listening, and stay tuned for tomorrow. See ya.